Hey guys, it is me, Victoria. So today I wanted to talk about my revelation yesterday and how I think it really affected me today. So today I hosted a meeting for rejection therapy in Las Vegas. And I was nervous about it like all week long. And yesterday, as I described in my last video, I experienced a kind of enlightenment when I practiced responding to a lot of insults. And I had this realization that I don't need to be perfect and I should never try to be perfect. And the more readily I admit my flaws, the better I'm gonna be in life. And it was more like this indescribable mental shift in my mind that really like moved me. For some reason I'm tearing up thinking about it, and I teared up thinking about it earlier today as well. It was just like this realization that I don't have anything to be scared of by admitting weakness and flaws. And I re-listened to a podcast that gave me the idea with Dr. Burns to prepare for it, which is his feared Critic, which is basically what inspired the Insult Post recent podcast, where he talks to this girl who's like nervous about appearing stupid in this group they have. And he was saying that there's something called laughing enlightenment, which is like this Buddhist thing where you realize that your worries and fears and suffering have been a sort of cosmic joke on you because they're all meaningless. And I don't really know what that means, but I kind of do, because as people were insulting me, I was laughing so hard and at the same time seeing the ridiculousness of my fears. It was funny because it was like, as I described in the last video, it's like I really hate when people point out I'm quiet, I'm shy, I talk in a soft voice. And yet when people were pointing out those things to me, or I never smile, I'm like, why don't you smile more? Those things irritate me to no end. And people point them out to me all the time, and I just like burn in irritation. I'm just like, fuck you, quiet shamers and stuff in my head, but instead I'm just like, what do you want me to say? Like, that's kind of my response. Typically, I'm just like, I don't respond, but internally, I'm just wanting to kill the person, because I'm like, you're so ignorant. Like, you think everyone should smile, or, you know, you think everyone should be talking loudly all the time, and you think we should all be extroverts, and I'm not. I'm an introvert, so don't you get that? So it's like, these things irk me, and they make me ashamed, too, because it makes me just feel like, oh, I should be different, and I'm not, and I'll never fit in. And I never have fit in life, and it's, like, irritating, and just makes me sad. But this time, I was able to hear all those things and just laugh, because I'm like, you know what? Like, it's so right. Like, I don't smile. I am quiet. I am shy, and that's me, and I accepted myself in that moment. So anyway, after I had that realization, it was just this kind of like, it's like a different feeling in my mind, where it was like I relaxed mentally, like, and my mind shifted, and I was able to see a different way of viewing myself. And I feel like it really profoundly changed me. And I don't know why I'm crying, but I was feeling this way earlier. Sometimes when things in life just really profoundly move me, I cry, so I feel like it just really moved me. And one thing I was read about in Dr. Burns' books is like, he says it takes approximately 13 techniques to crack somebody's anxiety or depression. And that's 1 out of 13, so basically 12 fail before 1 works. And his idea is just move through them as quickly as possible. So I feel like, a lot of things like chipped away at my anxiety and made me look at things in a different way. But I think this exercise for me of basically practicing countering really horrible insults and my negative thoughts basically about myself, practice countering them, like, cracked it for me. And suddenly I experienced, like, an enlightenment moment. So that's pretty cool, because I've been reading his books for a long time, and I've had a lot of insights from him, but I don't know if I ever really experienced what he's talking about with this enlightenment. I haven't, actually I have through other ways, but it was just very beautiful that I finally feel I'm able to see my flaws in a different light. And when I think back to, like, when I was so depressed earlier in my 20s, I wish I had been able to see the world in this light and just be like, I don't know, I'm actually not sure, but it's something like, I could have saw things differently. I could have been like, it's okay that I don't have a job. It's okay that I'm not successful. It's okay that I have social anxiety. I don't have to be this mythical person who's incredibly successful, like Mark Zuckerberg or something. Like, why the hell am I comparing myself to this perfect person? Why aren't I just striving to be, a depressed, normal, confused, sensitive, emotional mess and loving it? So anyway, when I went to my group today, I started being really nervous, and then I started just remembering this insight and feeling this insight and just feeling like, thinking of all my negative thoughts and I was just thinking a lot of different things. Like, I was just thinking, my boyfriend's gonna be watching, and if I mess up and he sees me mess up, he'll, like, look down on me and he'll be kind of, like, embarrassed of me. I don't know why I thought that. I mean, he's really supportive. And other thoughts I had were just like, I'm gonna freeze up. Typical, like, anxious person thought. Like, one of the tribe. Yay, I worry about freezing up. And I'm not gonna know what to say. I'm just gonna make a complete fool of myself in front of everybody. Yeah, I just felt like, the meeting could be a total disaster. And I just reminded myself, it's okay if I suck at running a group. Like, that's fine. Like, I suck at running a group. And it's okay if I freeze up. I'll just admit to people, yeah, I freeze up. Like, I have anxiety. Like you guys probably, because you're here to, like, get over your anxiety. And that will make me, like, more relatable. I mean, maybe they'll feel comfortable being like, oh yeah, I freeze up too. So anyway, that really calmed me down, just seeing things in this new light. So when I got to the meeting, I felt I was actually able to connect with people in a lot better way. Because, some guy came and I could tell he was like, a shy person. I'm like me. And I was just able to connect with him really easily because I knew he felt like bad about himself and ashamed, and that's why he was there. And I just had this perspective that was like, you don't need to be ashamed. And he was like, I have social anxiety. And I was just like, oh, I have social anxiety too. Like instantly. And that used to be really hard for me to admit. And even with my rejection therapy group, they would say, I have social anxiety. And I like wouldn't really agree with them right away. I would just be like, yeah, I think I have that too or something. But I wasn't just like, yeah. And then another person came and he was telling me I'm a really introverted person. And he was kind of saying like, almost like, so I'm an outsider. And I was just like, oh, I'm an introvert too. And then someone else was saying to me like, I find it really hard to make friends. And you could tell it was like he was kind of ashamed, like that he found it hard to make friends. I'm like, I have really hard time making friends too. And then people kind of criticized me in some ways. Like this one woman, she was very annoying. And she told me, can you speak up? I can't hear you. And you know what? It will make you seem more confident if you talk louder. I'm like, way to point out, like, I'm not confident. And one of my insecurities, which is that I talk in a quiet voice, allegedly. But I was able to just say, because, of these insults, actually, yesterday, I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, everyone points out I have a quiet voice. I have a very quiet voice. That's one thing you need to know about me, kind of thing. And after, everyone was giving me feedback. And I was like, all right, I can deal with this. I can take the feedback. And they were telling me, oh, yeah, we couldn't hear you. You were, I didn't realize it was like a much bigger room and I needed to project a lot loudly because I'd never been in a room like this before. And I was able to say, yeah, okay, like, I need to do some stuff better. I need to project better and stuff. And, oh yeah, someone commented, a lot of times in these rejection groups, some of the people aren't too tactful, so I get some heat from them, but this guy was saying you have an accent. And that's actually another one of my insecurities, because I feel like I used to feel like I talk weird. And I found out he was just saying, like, a New York accent, but I immediately assumed, but I was able to say, oh yeah, a lot of people say I have an accent. So, I just felt like I was way more confident, because I didn't have this underlying, like, growl or something, like this underlying sense of like, don't you dare insult me because I'm gonna get angry. And even if I didn't show that, it was like there because I was annoyed at people and I was angry that they were pointing out my insecurities and flaws and they were hurting me. But this time I was just able to like not be afraid of my flaws. And that allowed me to be myself and not be afraid of being myself. And like at one point, like I just dropped all my papers and stuff. I didn't beat myself up about it, like, oh god, I'm like awkward, klutzy idiot, I just dropped everything. No, I just picked them up and was like thinking to myself, yeah, I dropped stuff, so, So I just feel that I kind of up-leveled because of this enlightenment realization. And I have to admit, afterwards, my boyfriend, he was telling me all this feedback, like stuff he could do better, and it did kind of start to get to me, and I was just like thinking, oh man, I think I did a lot worse than I thought. But then I told him that, and he was just like, no, you did like great, and I was just able to be like open about that too. So, I don't know, I hope this carries on and affects me. And there's one more thing I wanted to say, which is that another thing I was re-skimming When Panic Attacks, which is Dr. Burns' book about anxiety, and one of the things he was saying is like, people think self-esteem is important. And that really got me thinking, because I was realizing trying to be confident, trying to say affirmations. I am confident. I am a knowledgeable person who people respect, and like just saying these things to myself, like trying to convince myself. Or I used to just write a list of like my strengths on my phone and just like reread them. Be like, I am a good person. I am humorous at times. I care for my family or whatever. Just rereading these strengths and trying to build myself up. It's like, for what? The fact is, the reason I'm trying to build myself up is because I'm not confident. I'm worried. I'm stressed out. I'm not confident. So it's like, instead of trying to have self-esteem and gain confidence, like I bought so many books on how to be more confident. And it's kind of like paradox. Because you shouldn't try to be more confident if you're not confident. It's acceptance that you're not confident. And that's really freaking okay. You don't need to try to be confident. Why are you trying to impress people? Why are you trying to pretend to be something you're not? Why are you trying to, put up this fake wall where, you can do no wrong, rather than admitting wrong. And it also reminds me of like these YouTubers, and they'll always get these questions: how do you deal with haters, and how do you deal with criticisms? And they'll always be like, it's really more about them than it is about you, and they must have miserable lives, and I don't like listen to them at all. I don't read anything at all. And I'm always like, well, maybe you should, because, sometimes they have some valid points. Like, you really are annoying, and I guess you'll never realize that because your self-esteem and your being confident is, like, too high. Whereas with the acceptance paradox, you can take in feedback and criticism, and if someone makes a comment and is like, you're annoying, you can think, well, maybe I am doing something annoying. And, like, it helps in relationships, too, because, what's this? You can't always be right, and you can't always think you're perfect, and, you have to be open to growing and being, like, emotionally mature. So, anyway, I'm rambling. This is my longest video ever, so I find it profound, and I'll let you guys know if this up level in confidence stays, but I think it will. I think this really, like, profoundly affected me, and I just feel almost like a new person. I'm just like, I can do this. Like, I can make friends with people because I'm going to be able to admit my flaws and not be so scared of them. And I think that's such a huge part of social anxiety. It's like, people are talking to you, and you're so panicked because you're like, fuck, I'm anxious and I cannot tell anyone right now. I'm so, I have all these emotions, and if they knew, they'd hate me. And with this way of thinking, you're just like, I have emotions, and it's okay if I tell them and they're really negative and they're really bad, and that's how I'm going to connect with people. So, that's good, right? So anyway, guys, rambling. Alright, what do you guys think? Bye.